Yeah, good afternoon. Only one student is. Can we start the session?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name?
My name is Ozia, and I'm from Madagascar.
Okay, Madagascar. Okay. So we shall start the session, Osia.
Yes, I think we can start because I already sent a message in our WhatsApp group, and
Okay.
the students
Hmm.
will join us once they are available.
Okay. Okay. So you are student of BCom OL, and this is your course on environmental studies. So let me show you my presentation. Is it visible? Can you please
Yes, it
confirm,
is.
Hosea? It is full screen.
Yes, it's fast. Yeah, it's full screen.
It is, and it is moving also, na?
Yeah, it's moving well.
Okay, good, good. So thank you so much, Hosea. So we will start our session. As you know, we are here for our environmental studies, and myself, I am Dr. Rita Chauhan, and I am placed at IGNU Regional Center, Delhi too. And I have done my PhD from environmental science from one of the topmost university, Jawaharlal Nehru University from India. And so today I am going because you all are from commerce students, so I will make it a very simple language so that you can understand well also. So to know about the subject, this is a 4 credit course, and this credit course is having 4 blocks. So essentially, each block carries 1 credit of the course. Okay. So block one is our introduction to environment and environmental studies, and it is having 3 units: our environment, ecosystem, and major ecosystems. So in this, we will learn about what is the environment and how the ecosystem they functions. What is their structure? What is their function? Then in block 2, we will learn about the natural resources, how the nature has given us the resources which is useful for us. So there are 4 units: land and water resources, forest resources, biodiversity, and energy resources. Then in block 3, we will learn about the major environmental issues and concern, which is a very important session in which we will learn how development has degraded our environment and how what the measures we can take to protect it. So basically we will learn about what how important is biodiversity, what is environmental pollution, waste management, and what are the global environmental issues, because environment is not restricted to one country. It is globally, like globalization is there, similarly we have global environmental issues also. So it is not that if I do air pollution in one country, it is not going to affect other another country, because our earth is a one planet, and we have same land, we have same atmosphere. So we have many of the global environmental issues. There are local issues also, regional issue also, but global issues are very important, for which we all the countries they come together. Then in the last block, that is protecting our environment, in which we will learn about the what are the policies and practices for environment. And since we are from different countries, so we will learn about Indian policies and laws also, and from your country also. Okay. Then we can also learn some of the best practices of the human intervention, how human have helped the environment to preserve and control the environmental degradation. So this is our brief structure of the program. And now we will start with our block 1, that is on environment and its major ecosystems. So basically, what is environment? When we talk in a layman term, we will say environment is anything which is surrounding us. And when we look around, when we are sitting in a room, what are the things we can see? We can see many living things and many non-living things. Like when we are in a rooms, we can see we have table, we can see we have chairs, and then if we plant some plants in our room, then we that is a living. So anything which is having a life is a living component of that environment. And there could be many small insects, ants, these all which is having a life are the living component of this environment. So it is, in very simple term, it is a sum total of living and non-living component. It means it is everything within a room. So this is a very simple definition. Then second is how we can say environment is affecting us, or we are affecting the environment, or how the nature is affecting us and how we are affecting the nature. So that interaction is called also the environment. So basically, this living thing, non-living thing interaction, and organism and its nature interaction. So because what exists in a earth, that all depends on its characteristics. We will understand about it in a minute. Any doubts still here? What is environment?
No, Professor, it's clear.
Okay. So now we will understand another definition of environment. What is internal and what is external environment? See, this is a example of a pond. In a pond, we will understand more things with the help of example, because environment is one such subject which we need to connect it from our nature. So when you are going outside, you can connect with the what we have read in our class. And this is something which all have learned from our school time. And then we all are very close to our nature also. So all thing is generally an observation. We know what is environment, we know what is internal and external environment, just we have to put it into a scientific terminology. Nothing new we are going to teach you, this is only things which you already know it. Okay. So as and one more thing, beauty of the science is that whatever is the meaning of a world, it is related to that subject. Like when we say internal, it means something inside, and when we say external, means something outside. So what is meant by internal and external examination environment? Sorry, if we see a fish in this pond, for a fish in a pond, the environment inside is different and outside is different. Like we have a body temperature, We all are human beings, we all have a body temperature. We have best temperature 37.5 degrees Celsius. Similarly, fish also have an internal temperature. If there is more temperature, then it will affect the survival of the fish. Not only fish, it can affect the survival of all the organisms, living organisms, which are there in the pond. So, in this example, the environment within the fish is called internal environment, and the environment which is outside the life, outside the body of fish, it is called external environment. So, outside means external. So, any is there if there is any change in the light, temperature, or salinity changes. Salinity is what? Salt content of the water. Okay. So if there is any change, it will affect the physiological body of the fish. If suddenly the temperature drips down, temperature is very low, the water will freeze. Then fish will die. And if the temperature is very high, like it is more than 40, 50, 60, then what will happen? Water will be, water will evaporate, and slowly water will evaporate, and very less water will be available to fish. So it is again going to affect the life of fish. So there are two type of environment which is being affected, both internal and external. If there is a change in external environment, it will affect the survival of fish because of the change in the internal environment. The fish is having a certain capacity which is called a range of tolerance. Like it can adapt to certain 5-degree increase or 10-degree increase in the temperature. If there is more than that, then it will affect the physiological system and it will die. So this is called range of tolerance. So all the environmental parameters, whether they have a salinity or light, temperature, acidity, alkalinity, we will learn about these things. These are very simple terms, just scientific words. That's why uh, it is very, we will learn about this very slowly. Okay. So in the first session, we first slide we learn about living and non-living. So what is living and what is non-living? The one which is having a life is called living component. So in scientific term, we will call it is a biotic component. Okay. Bio means living. Okay. So biotic component is a living component. So the plants, animals, birds, microbes, humans, decomposers, everything is having a life. Life means they are on this earth for certain period of time. With the time they will age and they will die ultimately. And they will convert into a non-living thing. How? When we bury a dead animal or dead plant, it is ultimately converted into soil minerals. Okay. So next important thing is abiotic component. So whatever non-living things are there in the nature, it is no abiotic component. So we just have added a alphabet called A. So abiotic means non-living. It is very simple to understand. So what are the non-living components which are essential for our survival? We need light, temperature, we need water, we need gases for respiration. Okay, so these are the four most essential things. Other part are also there, like we need soil also for plants. If we don't have soil, then plants cannot grow. We can grow plants in hydroponics, but not all plant can grow in hydroponics. So we need soil also. So it is also very essential abiotic component. So there is a linkage between biotic and abiotic component of the environment. How it is linked? It is linked by two things, energy and matter. So there is a flow of energy and there is cycling of matter. This is the thing, energy and matter, which is going to form the ecosystem. We will learn about ecosystem in a few minutes. Okay. So another types of environment is, one is human modified environment, one is human made environment, and one is natural environment. Natural environment is the environment which existed and human has made no interference on that. Like before also the human origin, these environment were there. Like we have forest, we have oceans, we have deserts. These are natural environment. Then human modified environment means we have somewhat modified the environment, but we have not made the major changes. Like we have cleared the forest and do it a plantation, like tea plantation, or grown fruit trees on that. These are human modified environment. Then third type of environment is that human made environment, which was not there, but we have made it for our convenience. Like we have made roads, we have made buildings, we have made dams, we have made agriculture lands. So these are human made. So there is a very thin line of difference between modified and human made. In modified, we have just modified to suit our need. But in human made, we have changed the entire system and make it for our purpose. Because you all know human beings are the most intelligent creature living being in the on the earth. And because of this intelligence, we are in the topmost of the hierarchy and we can control the environment. We will learn about this human and environment relationship. So we have different theories whether we have controlled the environment or whether nature has controlled us. So for this, there are three major theories which is reflected in our history of evolution of environmental science. Do we have controlled the environment or nature has made us? So the first theory is called determinism. Determinism means nature controls human. But is it possible? Nature is controlling human in certain aspect, but as and when development is going on, we are also controlling the nature. So the first theory was given by determinism was given by Redsel and Huntington. They were a geographers. See, environmental science is basically the theories in this are it's an interdisciplinary course. So we have different disciplines which have come forward for this course. So we have adopted various theories from the history, from the geography, and then we have come to the science part. So earlier there were more geographers. They have given the theory that nature is controlling the humans. Then the next theory was given by a historian. He was a French historian, Fabre. He said that we are not the we are not directly under the control of nature, but we are, because we are very intelligent, we have modified our environment very actively. That's why we are controlling the environment. But over period of time, it was said that no, because when earthquake is coming, when floods are there, when other natural disasters are there, like when hurricanes come, when storms come, then where are the human beings? They are all the sufferer, and we are facing the nature's fury. So we cannot say ki we are controlling the nature. Okay. So both of these theories were discarded. Then the final theory, which was accepted by majority of the people around the globe, is environmentalism or ecological approach. See, ecology and environmental science is not very new things, but still it was there in our culture. We all have been dependent on our environment, our physical environment, our nature. And there is a mutual interaction between the organism and the environment. So we cannot be separated from the environment because we are very important person who is modifying or changing our environment. So after this concept, there was a theory called man and biosphere game. Okay, we will learn about in few minutes. Before that, we will learn about what is sustainable development and sustainability. We have been listening and reading and knowing about these terms very frequently. What are the sustainable development goals? What are the sustainability? What is a sustainable development? So, to a brief history, in 1980s, uh, okay, we will go a little earlier also. After the First World War and Second World War, there was a huge, most of the countries got freedom. So their ultimate aim was to have development. So all the countries which after the 1945 war, Second World War, they when they got the freedom, they want to develop their countries. They starting development through their natural resources, because for every development start with the resources. Which country is having how much resources, how much forest they have, How much soil, how much minerals are there in their soil, how many rocks are there, what is the energy resources available in that country. Everything is connected to the environment, to our mother nature. So nature and the environment of a country is very important determinant for the development of that country. So every country when started doing the development, and they have to feed their ever growing populations, they started clearing their forest and started agriculture. And during that conversion, a lot of forests were destroyed and converted into either industries or into the agricultural land, and the development started. But that development had caused a lot of environmental issues. It has started affecting the air quality, it has started affecting the water quality, and it has started depleting the natural resources. And if there are no natural resources left, then how to be developed further? We cannot be a nature to have more natural resources if we start degrading it. So in 1987, there was a Brundtland Commission in which the term sustainable development was coined. And this term means the development that meets the need of the present generation without compromising the ability of a future generation to meet their own need. That means we have to take care of the development for the present generation also, and also the development of the future generation, our young ones, our family members, our futures. Okay. So this was a term coined because development is very important, so they use the term development. But slowly this term affected the, although this was a concept, but it was not utilized fully. Because when we look into the structure of this, it has three components: environmental, social, and economic. So we should have a viable environment, natural environment, in which all the practices are sustainable, natural, and built environment. And economic development should be sufficient. It should be for everyone. And the third, it should have a social component also, equitable social environment. It means all the strata of a people in a social structure, whether they belong to a very low income class, high income class, whether this tribe, whether that tribe, whether rich people, whether poor people, everything will everything should have a equitable share. But it was physically, and slowly it is a very combined effect, only then it can be achieved. But again, when we use the term sustainable and development, the development word again dominated here. We focused more on development than the sustainability. So what is sustainability? Sustainability is basically a capacity to hold or to endure. So, sustainability is the process in which the things for which we are doing the development, like the natural resources, it is not depleted. Okay. So, we have to use that technology, that process in which the natural base is not depleting. Okay. So our overall goal is not the development, but it is to sustain it. Like you are the student of BCom, so you must be focused more into business things. So you also look into what is the sustainability of a what is the cost sustainability, what is the sustainability of anything. To sustain it, it should be a going on process. So it is having four dimension instead of three. Here we have environmental, social, and economic. Here we have ecological. We are not saying environment, we are saying ecological. Then economic, social, and the fourth is cultural. So why this term culture was added in this sustainability? This is that because I just told you that environmental sustainability is not a new concept. When we look into our ancestors, they were practicing this concept from a long, long years ago. It is only when we started using the term development that rate of degradation started very rapidly. So when we add the term cultural and we look into the things social aspect and ecological things and then economic survival also, it will take care of sustainability in a wholesome. It will take care of all the social structure. It will take care of the all cultural values. So we have to use the process which is intricate to the society. We have to look into the process of development which is not a individualistic. It is not the development of one person. It is development of a society. It is development of a village. It is development of a country. Okay. So this is all process of sustainability. Any doubts on this sustainability and sustainable development?
Till now, the
Yeah.
course is very interesting, and I'm a bit concerned about the possibility to run a business which in which we cannot deplete existing resources. It needs deeper
Uh,
reflection. Yeah.
Yeah, but these days we there is a continuous. Whenever you are doing a research also, or whenever you are looking for a business model, we always look into sustainability. Why? Because we have to use certain that technology in which the waste which is generated, either that can be minimized, or whether it can be recycled, or it can be reworked and again use as natural resources. Then it will be a self-sustaining model. Okay, so this kind of thing is there. The main focus is not on the end product, it is on the process by which we are looking into the development.
Thank you so
Then
much.
yeah, then what are the priority areas which are there to achieve the sustainable development? First is that we have a limited resources on our earth. If our population will ever grow, it is going on, then the natural resources will be limited. So we have to slow down the population growth. We have to minimize our the number of childrens in each families, so that our future will have less number of individuals and more amount of the natural resources. Then we should reduce the poverty, inequality, and third world debt. This is for most of the development countries, because poverty is a major thing. If we don't have enough income, and there is inequality in our society, a disparity between the caste, tribes, between the strata of people, then that we will not be able to achieve that social and cultural impact thing. So again, the development will not be overall. It will be a lopsided. Some people will get benefit, other people will remain below the poverty line. So we have to reduce this thing. We should, instead of individual development, we should look into the whole society development. Then agriculture is the most important thing. In fact, it is most important thing in your country also, because it's a mainly agriculture dominant country. So we have to make our agriculture very sustainable. Sustainable, how we can use it, how we can make our agriculture sustainable, by using many of the traditional methods of growing. Then we should use less of the chemicals, less of the pesticides, and we can use the water use technology very efficiently, so that our in small area of the land also we can have more um, crop production. Then we can use green manures, or many of the manures which are not harmful for the another organism of the soil. Like if we put an pesticide or insecticide for a in a crop, so it will definitely kill that pest, but it will remain in that soil. That chemical will be remain in the soil. So again, the plant may take up that pesticides, or the fruits which they are having, again it will have pesticides. So we should reduce our dependency on the chemical fertilizer. Instead, we should use more of the natural resources. We can use many of the there are many now herbal plants also, which can be used as a to protect our agriculture from the um, crops and many predators. Then fourth is protect our forest and other habitat. Forests are very important, because still many forest is having many endangered species, many medicinal plants, many they have many things which are there in the forest. It is not just that they are a land of land of trees. They are giving the oxygen. They are taking up the carbon dioxide. So they are most important carbon sink. Why carbon is important, we will learn about in few minutes also. So forests are very important, and we should have protected forest and other habitats, because there is a balance between different animals in the nature. One animal is eating another animal is eating another. So there is a food chain, there is a food cycle within the environment. So this will all get disturbed if we don't have proper forest. Then water and energy use is very important. Just now I told you water use, because water is the next most scarce resource which we are getting from our forest. We have limited water. Almost in our earth we have two-thirds of water. Okay, but that water is of no use because that all water is highly brackish. They have very high salinity content. All we have so much oceans, gulf, but we cannot use that water. So there is no use of that water if still many of the gulf countries they have started doing the desalinization of water so that they can use that water, but the cost is very high. They have started using the ocean water, and they have extracting the salt from there and then make it as a fresh water and then they can use it, but the cost is very high. So we have to be make water use and energy use. Energy is very important again, very important sector because energy is required for anything and everything. For any setup we need energy. So we should be more dependent on our renewable sources and our natural sources of the energies, like we can use solar energy, we can use wind energy, tidal energy, and we can make it more sustainable because we have limited resources of our fossil fuels. Coal, petroleum, they are very limited and they are going to exhaust in next few years. They are in a very limited resource, and we already have taken out so much from our earth. Then last is reduce the waste generation. This waste is again a major issue these days because next important thing which is going to affect all is waste. Our domestic waste, medical waste, industrial waste, building waste, every waste is going to a landfill. But do we have enough land for landfill also? And in landfill also, it is going to affect the soil, it is going to affect the water. The chemicals from the waste, it is affecting the groundwater. So we should minimize the waste generation. If there is less waste, then we have to manage less waste. Okay. So we come to now unit second. Unit second is our on the ecosystem, and again it is having what is ecosystem? Ecosystem is the unit of a biosystem. Until now we said about the environment, nature. These are very broad terms. But when we have to study something, we have to make it a miniature form. Okay, so ecosystem is our miniature form of the entire biosystem. So it is having again the same two components, biotic and abiotic. Bio means life, so living, and abiotic means non-living component. So ecosystem is a biosystem which is having a biotic component and abiotic component. And they are interacting each other, and they will after their interaction they will perform certain functions, and there is a flow of energy and matter. Okay, now we will study about these interaction in detail. So structural, there are two component: structural features of the ecosystem and functional part of the ecosystem. Structure means what is the overall structure, what is the structure of a component. So we have already understand these are biotic and abiotic. Abiotic means non-living, So non-living, in that we are going to have three important categories. One is inorganic, second is organic, third is climatic regimes. Okay. And in biotic, which is living component, we are going to have in a structural form producers, consumers, decomposers. Sorry. Anyone who understand about the term what is organic or inorganic components? Any viewpoints? Anything?
Come again with the question.
Uh, what do you understand by organic components or inorganic components? You must have
Uh,
heard the word called organic. What do you mean by organic?
I think organic compounds, those are compounds that use carbon.
That come from
Carbon.
carbon. Okay.
And inorganic compounds, they don't involve carbon in
Yeah.
their formulas or whatever.
So in organic compound also they have carbons.
They do?
Yes, yes.
Okay, then I stand to be corrected.
Basically, organic. When we again, I will tell you that we should look into the terminology. Organic system, organic compounds. Organ means it has origin from an organism, a living organism. Okay, so somewhat your answer is correct that it is related to carbon, but carbon can be inorganic also, and carbon can be organic also. When the carbon is in the form of a protein, or in the form of a carbohydrate, or in the form of lipid, it will become a organic. But the same carbon, if it is in the form of like carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide or carbonic acid, then it will be an inorganic compound. So anything which is having a organism origin, like from a living organisms, we will say it's a organic compound. Like proteins, carbohydrate, lipids, they are not in nature, they are formed by an organisms. Okay, we cannot say ki in soil we have protein. Protein are there in the organisms. Like for an example, we can take proteins from egg. We can take protein from pulses. Similarly, carbohydrate we can take from uh, cereals, rice, wheat. Lipids we can take from fat, oils. These are all generated by a living organisms, by a biotic component. So compounds which has linkage to a biotic component, these are called organic compounds. Okay. And inorganic compounds which does not need a biotic compound, like nitrogen which is present in the air, then water. We don't need a living organism for that. Carbon dioxide, these are inorganic compound. Okay, so organic compounds are these are the abiotic components which are linked to the, which has a connection with the biotic compounds, because they are generated from a living organisms, from a living component of the ecosystem. Okay, then the third part is the climatic regimes: temperature, moisture, light, topography. All these things are very important for affecting the structure. For example, temperature is very important. If temperature is very high, then that area will have deserts. If the temperature is less, then they will again then they will have a different type of climate. Then moisture, then light, then topography. If the height of a land is very high from the mean sea level, then again the climate is different. Climate is different in the plains, climate is different on the hills, on mountains, everywhere it is different. So these are the non-living components which are affecting the structure of a ecosystem. Second is the biotic components. So what are the living components of a ecosystems? Living component are the components which has a life. So first one in this is the producers. Then second one is our consumers, and the third one are the decomposers. Okay. Again, what are the producers? Again, we will come to the terminology. Producers means someone who is producing. So the living components which are producing foods are called producers. So plants. Everything starts with a plant. We need plant. We take plant. We take rice. We take pulses. These are all plants. Then if we look into our the animals also, like if we are looking into the uh, we are looking into eggs of a chicken, then that chicken is also that hen, and poultry farms, they're also they have been feeded with the plant material, like they are given corn so that they can have better eggs. So they are also dependent on the plants. Then second one is the consumer. Consumers are the living components which are dependent on the producers. There are three kind of consumers: primary, secondary, and tertiary. These are the three different level of the consumers. Primary will be the first one, secondary will be the second one, and tertiary will be the third one. So these all are interlinked. And the third part is the decomposers. Decomposers are the living organisms which feed on the dead animals, plants. Because when we die, when plants die, when animals die, it has to be decomposed to form the new life. So they will be decomposed with the help of saprotroph. Saprotroph is the group of organisms which convert the dead material into uh, different organic matter, and they are converted into soil. Any doubts on this thing? We will learn about this thing later. Here we will learn about it slightly later on. Then what is the functional aspect? This was the structural feature. Structural feature will have biotic and abiotic, which is making the structure of ecosystem. Then how the different component are functioning. What is the functional aspect? That is five processes. How the energy is cycling, what is the food chain within the ecosystem, what is the diversity, what is the nutrient cycle, and what is the succession. We will learn about these 5 processes just now. Okay. So living and non-living components, basically they interact with each other. These process will have continuous interaction, and during these interaction they will perform certain functions, and these are energy cycles, food chain, diversity, nutrient cycle, succession. Let us understand about them. Before that, let us come to the concept of a ecosystem. We have till now heard the term ecosystem. So what is the hierarchy of an ecosystem? Let us understand about it. For example, this is a example. What is the hierarchy? What is the structure of an ecosystem? What is the size of an ecosystem? So we will start with the individual. If there is one deer, we will say it is an individual. If there are more than one deer, there are 2 deer, 3 deer, 4 deer, 5 deer, we will call it is a population of a deer. Okay. Then when we come to the third level is called community. Community means all the living community. It means it will have deer, it will have a tiger, it will have human beings, it will have everything. Then it comes ecosystem. Ecosystem is what? Living and non-living component of a system, biosystem. So when the living community plus abiotic factors will come together, it will form the ecosystem. Then if there are more than one ecosystems, then it will form the biome. You can see the biome, different type of ecosystems. Ecosystem can be forest ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem. Everything will come together to form the biome. And this biome will form ultimately the biosphere, which is the earth system. So the size of the ecosystem is largest for the biosphere. Biosphere is the largest ecosystem. Again, when we say the ecosystem, it will have different components: lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere, land, water, air. And what is the limit of air? What is the limit of atmosphere? That is 22.5 kilometer from the mean sea level. Beyond that, it will be the part of solar system. So the envelope of gas till 22.5 kilometer is the biosphere, is our planet Earth, is the largest ecosystem which is existing. It is having both living ecosystem, it is having both non-living component. So our Earth is a biosphere and it is the largest ecosystem. So these are the 3 spheres of the our Earth. We all know about it. Lithosphere is our land surface, hydrosphere is our water surface, and atmosphere is our air surface. Lithosurface means it is land area. Why land is important? Land is very much important because we we can have agriculture over there. We can have trees. Then water we have. In the water we have streams. We have we have our fishes, and then atmosphere, we have birds, we have gases. Excuse me. Then we will come to the biotic component, process of the biotic component. Just I will take 2 minute break. Yeah, slide is visible.
Yes, Prof.
Okay. So now we will come to the functional aspect of the biotic component. So again, I will repeat it. Our biotic components, these are the three parts: producers, consumers, and decomposers. So producers are also called autotrophs. It means the living component which can manufacture their own food. Own food means they can do the photosynthesis. You must have learned about photosynthesis process. Photosynthesis process is the process in which green plants, they produce food with the help of sunlight and water and air. Air essentially means carbon dioxide. So green plants, they take carbon dioxide and water, and in the presence of their green chlorophyll, they will do the process called photosynthesis, and they will prepare the food. So all the green plants, they are the producers. So these producers are on sorry, on land also and in water also. You must have seen in land, in water, the water is somewhat blue green, or somewhat some submerged plant is also there. So those plant will also prepare the food. So whatever living component which is having green, which are green in color, which are having chlorophyll, they have the capability to produce their own food, and they are called producers. So autotroph. Troph means food, And auto means they have the ability to produce the food. Okay. Then second level of biotic component are the consumers, or which are also called as a heterotrophs. Heterotrophs are the animals which cannot prepare their own food. Can we prepare food? Yes, we can prepare food, but using the plant, or we can prepare food using animals. But can we prepare food carbon dioxide and water and sunlight? We cannot prepare it because we are not green plants. We are consumers. We are heterotrophs. Okay. So we are the heterotrophs. We don't produce the food. We are consumed. We consume the food produced by the producers. Then the third component are decomposers, which are called saprotroph also, reducers also. Why we called it as a reducer or saprotrophs? Reducer is a term, जैसे like when an organism will die. When an organism will die, like a 90 kg animal will die. For example, a 90 kg man is going to die. He died. Okay. So 90 kg of weight will be, after his death, will be reduced, slowly reduced, and it will be just a few grams only. First, his skin will be lost, then blood, then everything will be slowly decompose. So slowly when it will decompose, it will reduce the quantity and weight of that organism. Okay, so that's why they are called reducers. So there is a linear sequence of the organisms which is called a food chain. One organism is dependent on another for food. We are depending on plants for food. Another organism is depending on another in consumers for food. So this is called a food chain. Food chain is what? It is a linear sequence of a link of organisms in which one organism becomes food for another organisms. So the first level will be always producer, because someone has to produce the food, na? Okay. So the first person will be producer, green plants, autotrophs. So, and the second trophic level will be of heterotrophs, those which are dependent on the primary consumer. Third level will be again tertiary consumers, which are dependent on secondary consumers. Fourth level will be the top consumers, top carnivores. So on the process will go on. So trophic level is the level of a organisms, and food chain is a sequence in which one organism become food for the next organisms. This is an example of a terrestrial food chain and aquatic food chain. What is terrestrial? Terrestrial means anything which is on land. So any food chain which is starting on land, we will call it as a terrestrial food chain. So grass will be there. That grass will be eaten by grasshopper. Then frog will that grasshopper will be killed by a frog, and frog will eat the grasshopper. Then snake will eat the frog. and then eagle will eat the snake. Sorry. This is the different trophic level in the terrestrial food chain. On the right side, we can see we have aquatic food chain, in which the food chain start from the phytoplankton. Like just now I told you, there are green plants on water also. So that we called as a phytoplankton. Phyto means plant and plankton means that moving green plants. So phytoplankton will be eaten by the zooplankton, then small fish will eat zooplankton, then large fish will eat small fish, and then big large shark will eat the large fish. So this is the food chain in a aquatic ecosystem. There is another type of food chain. One is called grazing. This was on the type of from where the food chain is existing, whether on land or in water. Okay. So this is another type of food chain in which the what is the nature of food chain? Like, is it a grazing one or whether it is a detritus one? Detritus means grazing means whether they are having a live this thing uh, animals, and whether they are depending on the dead animals. So whenever anything is starting from a living organisms like grass, grass is a grazing. We generally graze the grass. Cattle graze the grass. So they are having the grass as a fodder. Then grasshopper take the grass, then frog, then snake, then eagle. So this is a grazing type of food chain. What is detritus? Detritus means those food chain which is starting from a dead material. Detritus means a dead material. So in dead material also the food chain exists, because we have detritus, we have detritivores, we have those organisms which can survive on the dead material. So any food chain which is starting from a dead material will be detritus food chain. It will be eaten by a primary detritus feeder, then it will be eaten by a secondary detritus feeder. Then third one is the parasitic food chain. Parasitic food chain is that food chain in which one living organism is dependent on another one, but it is not causing harm to that organism. Like in grazing, grasshopper is eating the grass and frog is eating the grasshopper. So they are killing it and having it. So it is destroying them. Okay. In detritus also, it is feeding on the dead material. But in parasitic food chain, what happens? Let us see with the help of example. In zebra skin, they have certain nematodes and saprophytic bacteria. So zebra skin is having nematodes and saprophytic bacteria is feeding on it. But this nematode is not affecting the zebra, and this bacteria is not affecting the zebra nematode. So they are coexisting with each other. They are parasitic, they are dependent on each other, but they are not killing each other for the food. They are not causing any harm to the host organism. So this is the example of a parasitic food chain. Then we come to the nutrient cycles. Nutrient cycle is cycling of the nutrients from a biotic component to a non-biotic, and then from biotic to abiotic, because everything are interlinked to each other, so nutrient is also cycling between them. What are these? I think you must all know what are the carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle. This is all nutrient cycle. Okay. So there are three terms in this used: bio, geochemical, cycles. When we say bio, bio means living, geo means it is linked to the land, and chemicals means these are chemical components. Okay. So it is linked to the land, water, air, and biological component. So all the components are interacting with this. Essentially, there are two type of nutrient cycle. One is gaseous cycle and another one is sedimentary cycle. What are gaseous cycles? Gaseous cycles are those cycles in which the main reservoir is in atmosphere or in hydrosphere, that is in the air or in water. Then the second is sedimentary cycles, in which the main reservoir, I mean the main storage point of that chemical is in earth crust, that is in the sediment, that is in the land. Okay. So these are the sedimentary cycle. And in gaseous cycle, the main storage is in either air or in water, in atmosphere or in hydrosphere. So water cycle. Water cycle is a gaseous cycle or a sedimentary cycle? And anyone? Water cycle is having major component in the aquatic area and in the land and in the atmosphere in the form of clouds. So it's a gaseous cycle. So water is circulating from different component of the earth, from land to hydrosphere to air, in the form of different processes. I think I most of the students know about these cycles: water cycle, carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, sulfur cycle. Anyone in the class?
Yes, madam, I'm still around.
Yeah. Do you know about water cycle?
Water cycle. Yeah, some.
Basically, how does the water circulate in our different component is called a water cycle. So there are various processes by which water is circulating in all the component of earth. So we call it as a water cycle. Let us understand about the process. Okay. These are very simple things, not very hi-fi. You should not think that this is very too much scientific. These are very I think you all must be knowing it. It is just refreshing your things. See, the first process, it's a cyclic in nature. Anything which is cyclic in nature can start from anywhere. Okay, so let us start it from the ocean water or the river water. So when the temperature is high, when there is a hot, humid climate, then the water will evaporate because sunlight, more sun is there, more light is there, more heat is there. So the water will form the vapor and it will form the evaporation. It will cause the evaporation and form the clouds. There is another form of uh, water loss which is from the plants, which we call it as a transpiration. Transpiration is water loss from the leaf of the trees. I think you must have seen in the morning dew drops on the leaf. In the morning when you wake up, you see the plants and there are small, small dew drops. That is the water released from the plants. And as and when the sunlight increases, when the sun rises, then the water will get evaporated and it will vaporize and form the and it will go to the air in the form of water vapor and it will form the clouds. So these clouds will, when the climate is suitable, when it is more humid, when there are more of the water vapors in the atmosphere, more cloud is there, then it is going to form the rains, which is called precipitation in the terms of science. Okay, there are two kind of precipitation. If it is in water form, then we say it's a rain is coming. And when it is in the form of snow, then we say it is a snowfall. So in the mountain area, there will be snowfall, whereas in the plain area, it will be a rainfall. Okay, so this is called precipitation. So water will come back to the earth, to the land through precipitation process. Then it can form the rivers and then again cycle will go on. Some part of the blue water you can see within the ground, these are called groundwater. So the water which is in ocean or river, we call it as a surface water, and the water which is in the within the ground is called groundwater. Some part of the water is also reserved in the groundwater, which we can take by the help of pumping and we can use it. So this is the complete water cycling between the biotic and abiotic. What are the biotic component in this thing? Biotic components are the plants which are doing the transpiration and releasing the water to the abiotic component, and rest other are the abiotic components. Second is carbon cycle. Carbon cycle is another most important chemical, which is again a gaseous cycle. Why? Because it's a major reservoir is in gas form, that is carbon dioxide, and another major reservoir is in ocean in the form of oceanic carbon. Carbon cycle is very important because it is affecting the heating and cooling of Earth. You must have learned about the global warming, ozone depletion, global warming. These are all caused by the carbon dioxide. So the how carbon is recycling or cycling between within the different components of earth or ecosystem, that is how it is generated basically. It is generated with the help of fossil fuels. The carbon, the petrol we fuel, the vehicular pollution, we release the carbon monoxide. Then we burn the coal, then the carbon dioxide is released. So with the help of process called combustion, carbon dioxide is released to the atmosphere. Who is absorbing the carbon? Again, plants. Plants are utilizing the carbon to form the photosynthesis and to form the carbohydrate. The term carbohydrate is from the carbon term because essentially it is more of the carbon fixation. So plants are very important, play important in the carbon cycle. If there are more deforestation, then it will affect the carbon cycle. Then again, important source of the this carbon dioxide is respiration and metabolism from the animals. Like we also, we also do the respiration. We take the we take the oxygen and release the carbon dioxide. Okay, so all the animals, we use the oxygen which is released by the plants, and we reflect back the carbon dioxide. So the this process is called respiration and metabolism. Metabolism is the process in which the food is broken down into smaller part and energy can be used. So this is biospheric carbon, which is released by the animals, including human beings. Okay. Then the last form of the carbon is in the oceans. In the ocean, we have a lot of carbonic rocks. A lot of this ocean, they have rocks which are rich in carbonates. You must have started. You must have heard the term called ocean acidification. If there are more acids than carbon is going to release, then again it will affect the overall structure. So everything is cyclic in nature. If any of these processes get disturbed, it will affect each one of us, plants, animals, and the entire nature. Then the third form is the nitrogen cycle. Uh, this is a sediment. This is again a gaseous cycle because 78% of the earth gas is our nitrogen. But plant is the only source by which we can take the nitrogen. There is no other means by which we can take the nitrogen. Okay, so again, a very important role of the plant come here. Without plant, we cannot have the nitrogen in our body because these plants have the capacity to fix the atmospheric nitrogen. And this atmospheric nitrogen, which is 78% of the air, is fixed by the plants with the help of plants called which are having the nitrogen fixing bacteria. So these plants, they have root nodules in which they have nitrogen fixing bacteria. They fix the they use the atmospheric nitrogen and use it and convert into a bioavailable form of nitrogen. Okay, so they, with the help of process called ammonification, these are converted into ammonium, and then ammonium to nitrites, then nitrites to nitrates, and these nitrates are then again assimilated by the plants. And some of the denitrifying bacteria are also there, which release the atmospheric nitrogen into the atmosphere. Then we come to the last, which is sulfur cycle. This is a sedimentary cycle. Why sedimentary? Because sulfur major part is in soil. Sulfur is also there in the atmosphere in the form of sulfur dioxide or another form of sulfur oxides, but they are not the natural sources. Natural source of the reservoir of sulfur is in the soil. So how do we take sulfur? We take soil, we take fossil fuel having the sulfur. So from the mining, we use the sulfur, and then with the help of combustion, it is converted into the sulfur dioxide form. And within the soil, we have sulfate organisms, many small microorganisms, which are again changing the sulfur into different forms. So this is the sedimentary part. Major part is in the soil. Okay. Then next we come to the ecological succession. Then after that we will cover major ecosystems. We will cover in the next session. Okay. So the last functional aspect of ecosystem is ecological succession. So this is a very important part, because how a ecosystem started. Basically, this is that process. The process of change of inhabitants or development of a community is called ecological succession. I think you all knows how the earth formed. Earth formed around 4.6 billion years ago. And when the earth formed, there was no life. There were only land and water. So how the ecosystem developed? How the life came? Life came at that time point only from the oceans. So the start of a community in a bare land is called succession. So basically, succession starts from a rock. So any area which is not having any community is called a primary succession, and secondary succession is the process in which there was having a community but it destroyed due to certain reason, like a forest fire happened, so it destroyed entire forest. Okay, so this is secondary succession. Already a forest community was there and it was destroyed. So this is a example of a primary and secondary succession. So from rock to lichens to grass to small plants, then high shrubs, then trees, then low trees, then high trees. This is the structure of a community which is start from a rock. So the primary succession will always start from a rock, but secondary succession will start when the first community will get destroyed. Okay, so we will end this session, and the major ecosystems we will cover in the next session because time is already, I think you must have another class, another session. So till such time, if you have any questions, then you can ask. Yeah, any questions?
For me, I don't have any questions. Maybe my colleagues.
Okay. Yeah, Haruna, any questions?
From my side, there is no any question.
Okay, okay,
Everything is clear. Yeah.
okay, okay. If anyone is having any question, then they can ask. Otherwise, we will wind up the session then. Yeah, Mausa 11. I request all students to go through the study material also, and they can read everything is there in the study material. And if you have any doubts, you can ask in the session. So in next session, you can ask doubt for the present session also in the next session also. Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
madam.
Yeah. Someone raise the hand.
Yeah. It is not a question, it is a complaint.
Yeah.
The study material, they are not uploaded into our student learning portal still now.
Okay. It is not uploaded on your LMS
Yeah.
portal.
Yeah. It is only the previous one are in the portal.
Okay. We will inform to the concerned officials so that it will be uploaded soon.
Okay. So thank for the.
Yeah. Any other question?
No question.
Yeah. You are saying something, Saifulli?
No, I'm not saying anything. There's no question for now.
Okay. Okay. You are able to understand my things, na?
Yes, we are coping.
Oh, okay. 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 Okay, if there is no questions, then we can wind up the session. And then in next session, I hope you will get your material also, study material also, and then you can read it, and then we can continue it. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy nice day.
Uh, Same here.